Welcome back to the Joe Khamou Show here. I've got an amazing guest here. She is a pro female bodybuilder, Jen Pasky Jaquin. Welcome to the show.
How are you today?
I'm doing amazing. And we've talked back and forth on social media. I love your story. I love what you've accomplished. I love what you've done. And I want to share it with my listeners because I have a lot of sports fans, particularly football fans. But I'm sure a lot of people are into bodybuilding and anything physical. So that's what you do. So I'm excited to share your story with the fans, really, and just kind of hear more about, your journey, what you've been through, your accomplishments, current competitions, future competitions, what you got going on. And, welcome to the show. Love to hear, your story.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for having me. I follow you too, and it's been like super cool watching your little videos.
I'm loud. I'm loud, and I make noise for the fantasy football stuff. And
So
that's,
you remind me of those sort of is, and I don't know if this is gonna be like I really like him, but Jimmy Fallon, he's so loud and obnoxious, and your like voice is the same as his.
yeah.
Um, but so I've been into bodybuilding really my whole life. Um, it's kind of been my thing since watching my dad when I was like just a little kid. We had this like you remember like back in the day, I forget who did it. Norris, what's his name? Norris. The
What
it's a,
is it?
it's a bodybuilding machine. Um,
Oh, I think I know what you're talking about. Norris track, isn't it? Or something?
is it the Nor?
That's a Nordic track. Norris machine. Anyway, it was a
The guy that plays Texas Walker Ranger,
oh, Chuck Norris.
Chuck Norris. So that machine we had in the garage. The Total Gym. The Total
That's
Gym.
Norris. Okay.
Okay, so I would watch my dad on that, and he would do a lot of reps, like 400 reps, but little weight. And I'm like, dude, I want to do this. And so this was when I was a kid, and like my first job was at Belly Total Fitness, and that's when I like started looking at the gym. Thought it was cool. I was able-bodied then, so I could walk and do everything that normal people can do.
Right.
But I was always like kind of klutzy. Like, um, I remember like when I was a kid, my friends, I was born in 78, so I'm 45. So my friends would sing this song from back in the 50s saying trip, stumble, and fall um, whenever I'd walk because I would just fall for no reason. But I didn't know if that it was anything. I just thought it was just me being two left feet.
Right.
Um, so I, but so I don't. I guess I'm straying. So I was klutzy. Loved watching my dad work out. Then I that was my dream to work at the gym. And I started working out my own when I was like 18, 19, 20. Got really into it when I was 20 when I lived in Florida. And that's when I started noticing like weird things. Like I couldn't jump anymore. I couldn't I couldn't run. Like one day I was at the dog park with my dogs. I had two bulldogs, and I was went to go throw a wiffle ball, and I went to run like I usually run after it, and I just my legs wouldn't run, and I'm like, like what's going on?
Yeah.
Didn't think anything of it. Like I kind of was in denial. Um, and then another time in Florida, there was a hurricane, and in Florida, I know you're not from Florida, but in Florida, everybody goes out during the hurricanes, and we all go party,
Right.
and pouring rain, and they're like, come on, Jen," and I couldn't get my legs to run. I couldn't go. And I started noticing little things like that, like running and jumping. I started being in like I couldn't do those anymore. But again, I still walked sort of like normal. Like nobody would look at me and be like, "Oh, she's like, what's wrong with her?" Um, but I, it wasn't until I was like 25. I had moved to Charlotte, um, got married, gotten pregnant. I was in the hospital, and they were giving me an epidural. And right when I had my like right when they put it in me, I knew something was like really wrong. Um, I told them to take it out right away, and I said I couldn't feel anything from like my lips. to my feet. Like I'm gonna be a quadriplegic. I remember telling my husband, I'm not gonna be able to walk. I'm not gonna be able to move my arms. Like something's really wrong, and it was wrong. Like it it exasperated whatever I have inside of me when I was a little kid. The tripping in the like falling all the time. It exasperated this condition, which doctors still don't know what it is. Um, into me not having any coordination. Um, I don't know like how to walk at all. I can tell my legs to do it, but they won't do it. Um, I don't have any balance. I have very rigid legs. They're very like, if like my reflexes, if you hit them, I would like kick you. Um, but really, I'm undiagnosed. I have an upper motor neuron disorder. If I don't know if you know what that means, but like it,
No.
again, causes spasticity in my legs. It causes spasticity in your bladder. It just causes a bunch of spasticity in your lower region. My upper region is unaffected, but um, all of that came out really after I had that epidural, and then it just started declining over the years. But while all that was happening, I was pregnant. I just had my daughter. Um, I didn't really want to give up. I was like, okay, I loved working out before. I need to continue to work out now. One, just to keep myself going, but two, kind of like to prove to my kids, which she was like only one at the time, but I'm gonna be this badass mom. So I just started doing it every single day. I got really good at it. Like I know how to all like muscle groups. I just like became a fanatic with vitamins and protein and carbs and macros
Can I
and
speak? Can I ask you a question? So before the epidural that triggered this upper, or is it lower
up,
neuron,
upper.
upper motor neuron disorder? Before that, were you dabbling into working out? You obviously, not obvious, but were you in the shape that you were like right now with the bodybuilding, or did you kind of dabble in working out? And did this event, once you realized you had this and you couldn't, function the same way, did that trigger a response to I got to work out harder? So what kind of happened there?
So I was actually really into working out when I lived in Florida. I had a roommate that was like in just phenomenal condition. She was a model. So her and I, that was like kind of our thing that we did. And I was a waitress and a bartender, but I was really into it. And I remember when I moved to Charlotte and I met my husband, I'm like, I go to the gym every day, but I don't talk to anybody. So if we go work out together, I won't talk to you. Um, but no, I was really into it and I knew a lot about it. Like I bought a book when I was 20 and I still have that book. It's by the author, the owner of the Olympia, Joe Wiedemer.
Yeah.
Of course, I can't think of his name right now, but I bought his book when I was 20, and I still use that book. It has all the vitamins in it, and it tells you all basic exercises. But so to answer your question, no, I was really into it, but I wasn't in the condition I was that I am now. I think after I had this thing that started making me decline, I decided that I was just going to be badass and got into really, really, really good shape.
Is your body continuing to deteriorate? Is the condition getting worse? And my other question is a two-part question. Is the working out actually helping mitigate and prevent any further deterioration, if any at all?
So I think it is getting worse. Um, I feel stiffer and I shake. My legs shake like this. Um, I, I like take medicine to control that. I mean, not like shake constantly, but when I go to sleep, like restless leg syndrome. The working out helps. Yes, it does definitely helps. But I kind of do stuff that I shouldn't do. Like I do leg exercises, and when you're doing leg exercises on a tight spastic muscle, it's kind of making things worse. And I'm kind of making myself worse. But I want to continue to keep my legs strong. So if that makes sense to you, like people get Botox and it makes your face not be able to move. I
Right.
could Botox in my legs and de like make them less spastic, but it would also make my legs not be able to stand.
Right.
So I keep working my legs, like in order for me to be able to still have a little bit of function. I can't walk again, so I keep the muscle in there, but I do stand. But I have to hold on to like everything. So I think the working out in my legs is making my legs worse, spasticity wise, disease
Right.
wise, but it's keeping me stronger.
Yeah, and your core and everything, your upper body's got to be able to help with everything else. I mean, I can't imagine working out making things worse, right? I just can't imagine that.
No, no. In every like my upper body compensates for everything, so I'm always using my core muscles and I'm always using my shoulders, always using my back.
So I wanted to really share how inspirational and how amazing that what you truly done. So you are actually one of, if not the only pro female bodybuilder that's in a wheelchair. Like how would you kind of explain that? Because again, what you've done, I mean, you are one of, if not the only person, one of the only people on the planet that have achieved what you've achieved, right?
Correct.
That's
Yeah.
pretty phenomenal.
Yeah. So, um, in 2018, I did my first bodybuilding show. I won nationals in Florida, south of Tampa, and so they do wheelchair nationals every year in Florida. It's called the CJ Sunshine Classic, and there's been women prior to me that go to this event. So there's other women bodybuilders that have done what I've done prior to me. However, nobody's noticed them as much as people have noticed me. Like when once I did it, I was asked to do the Arnold Classic immediately. I thought it was a joke. Like I got a DM to do the Arnold, that you've been invited to do the Arnold Classic, and I literally thought it was a joke. Um, and then after the Arnold, it was the Olympia. You've been invited to do the Olympia. Um, and it just kind of went from there. Like I started doing the Arnold Classic and the Olympias every year from 2018 on. Um, and in 2020, I got my pro card at the Olympia. If 2020 wasn't the worst year ever, I got my pro card on December 21st in 2020. So it was like the most amazing thing ever. The first woman in a wheelchair ever to grace the Olympia stage, and I got my pro card.
That's amazing. I mean, I'm surprised. I think like out of this whole planet, there'd be more. Like, first of all, like how big is bodybuilding for, and I don't know the bodybuilding industry that much. How big is bodybuilding in general for women? Like, is there like thousands of women that do it, I would say, in America, nor worldwide? How big is the sport just from a non-disabled type approach?
It's really big. I mean, actually, the Olympia is going on this weekend.
Okay.
If, but there's it is a really big it's a big deal. It of course it's bigger for guys, but I think women have gotten a lot more into it. Like there's different classes. There's fitness, there's figure, there's physique, there's women's bodybuilding, there's bikini, of course. Um, but yeah, it's a really big deal.
Yeah.
There's and there's not just it doesn't just happen in America. It's even bigger, like in Europe and in South America. There's more of a like drive to watch. I think Americans honestly take it for granted, and I am an American myself, but and I don't take anything for granted. But like I think there's more of a turnout, like in India, if you were to go to the India Olympia. Um, or the South America Arnold,
Yeah.
there's more out than there is in the United States, only because people in other countries, I think, and I don't know, I'm not from them, but they uh, they want to see it and they want to do it. They want to, I don't know, they just don't take things for granted as much. So I'm actually going to be in the Brazil, um, South America 2024 Arnold Classic, and I'm really stoked about seeing this huge audience. I heard last year from a bunch of guys that went that it was just like amazing, like so much morale and so much like positivity in the wheelchairs part of it, and that they just are there like just so excited for you. So
Nice. Other than self-accomplishment, obviously it's amazing what you've accomplished. You're one of the only people to do it in the position that you're in. What are some other perks that have come out of this? I mean, you get to meet Arnold, which again, just a celeb. Some people say that's just a celebrity, whatever. What other perks have you been hit up on DM by other celebrities, other organizers of these events? Have you been called out for anything else? Media wise, what kind of, because again, you are like, I don't know what the word is, rare breed in regards to what you've done, like one of the only people on the planet. That's really, and one thing when you're in a rare period, like LeBron, how many LeBrons is there in the world, right? That's why
right.
he gets paid so much. So what are some perks that have really come out of this, other than just, I'm sure it's amazing self-development, accomplishment for you, legacy. I'm sure that's another thing for you that you're leaving on this planet. But any other perks that have come out that because of the position that you're in?
I mean, I've been like reps for different people, like the C4 drink, the C4 rep.
Right, right.
I'm a rep for, or I've been a rep for them. Blackstone Labs. I've been a rep for Blackstone. Um, I've done other like local events here in Charlotte, like the Be Amazing event. I did that in 2018, and then I was a judge in 2021. No, 2022. It was right after the art. No, 2020, 2022. For a Be Amazing. It's like a fitness showcase event here. So I've been a judge. I've done, so those are kind of the other things that I've done, or that have been because of this. And of course, like I always get DMs from, when I say always, I mean literally, like people in other parts of the country or the world, I mean, like India or France, literally think I'm famous. And they're like, can you give me tips on protein? And can you give me tips on your abs? And, just stuff like that. But it's not like, I guess I've been on a Netflix, I'm on a Netflix series, or I've been on one show that was taped in 2020 at the
Nice.
at the Olympia.
Nice. So I was just having this conversation with a fitness guy on Ruben, and he's a big fitness guru, and he's really good. He's a mindset coach and stuff like that. And is there anything that you want to say to people? Because again, a majority of society these days, if we're having a conversation here, are lazy. Let's be honest. Everything is so convenient in life. Everyone's like, oh, I can just order fast food, or I could, skip the dishes or whatever they call it to order stuff, right? You got Netflix there, you got TV, you got so much comfort is so easily available. Is there any advice you want to give to people to maybe help them get off the couch and start taking action? Because everybody wants everything right now. I go to the gym, I want results right now. If I don't get it in a month, I quit. I've seen gyms, right? They get all these memberships in January with New Year's resolutions,
Yeah,
then everybody quits. So
yeah,
I think you're great. What you've done is phenomenal. I mean, you could have just easily just said, "Hey, I'm just gonna, not do this." I mean, a lot of people could say that, but what you've achieved, on the level you've achieved it with adversity, you've done it with adversity, right? Is there any advice you want to give to people maybe to help motivate them? Say, "Hey, man, like, get off the couch and take action because health is so important."
it is important. I tell my husband that every day. He's the one that sits on the couch. Um, Sorry, Tracy, but I honestly, it's you only have one you, and you want to be the best you that you can be, and no matter what part of position you're in. Like I'm in a wheelchair and I am in constant pain, but I still go out there and do my best every single day, whether it's at work or in the gym, because I only have my one self and I can't make, like once I'm gone, I'm gone. So I want to be the best version of me all the time. And for me, that's getting out, going to the gym, eating my protein, making my muscles stay conditioned so I don't end up bedridden. And that's just for me. You got a normal person, an able-bodied person, I should
Yeah,
say,
that's a better way to say, yeah.
um, has it a lot easier. They can go to the gym and feel good about themselves, and it's like instant adrenaline. And like when you look good, you feel good. Or when you feel good, you think you look better. It's I don't know. I guess I get that question a lot in interviews, whether I'm at the Arnold's or the Olympia or just in an interview. And my advice is don't give up and just go one day at a time. And you're not going to see instant results. And don't make unrealistic goals ever. Make short term goals and always give a timeline. Like, I'm going to start doing this time. But I don't give myself an end date either, because an end date just makes it sound like you're quitting. Like, the word diet is for quitters. It's a lifestyle.
And that's the problem. I think so many people put up such big lofty goals and then they don't achieve them as quick as they want, so they just give
Oh,
up, right?
seriously, it is. So you set little goals. Like, I'll tell somebody, like, I'm going to use my husband again, for example. I'll say, just quit one thing for a month. Like, don't drink anything with calories in it. And that's just one thing. Do
Right.
a month. And then the next month, how about, like, don't eat anything with processed sugar? And just do small things. And then those small things will start to become normal. And then you can increase those small things into more small things, um, and until it becomes your lifestyle.
So future goals for you, you said you want to go to Brazil. You've conquered a lot in the US, obviously with your pro awards and pro shows. Is like at your age right now, you said you're about 45. Is that where, from a physical standpoint, does the muscle start deteriorating at this age? Like what's the age where a typical, let's say, female bodybuilder, for example, is kind of in her peak, and where does it start declining? And even at 45, can you compete on a top level? Like, or is it going to be like, I'm too old for this now?
No, you can still compete. You can still keep your muscles conditioned. Obviously, there's going to be a limit. But right now, currently, my goal is, I was just asked about a month or two ago, by the president of the Wheelchair Olympia, or the Wheelchair Bodybuilding Federation, excuse me, to be like their advocate for women across the world. So I'm on that. Like, I don't know what he even calls me, but like, I guess a promoter, like, to try to reach out for more women to be in this, um like, wheelchair bodybuilding or wheelchair events.
Right.
So that's what I'm doing now. Um do muscles decline? Yes. I mean, yes, you get old and they decline, but I'm going to continue to keep working out.
Oh, for sure. I just want to see if you can still compete on a top level. Like, I'm just so used to the football mindset because I do a lot of football. And a running back after, let's say, the age 28, he's useless in the NFL, but that's totally different sport. So I just don't know from a bodybuilding standpoint, like, what age can they compete till before it gets really tough and it's like you're not that competitive. So, you know what I mean? Kind of the
So
deadline for what weightlifters.
again, so there's like only a few of me or women, that, so I can do it probably until I want to quit. But there are levels, for ages. So like, there's a masters. Anything over the age of 35 is considered masters. That means like old,
Right.
old in bodybuilding. Say out of my dogs.
No, no, no problem.
um, so I mean, 35 and above is considered old.
Okay. I just want to get kind of a gauge on that. And you're still crushing and you're still looking. And are you still looking as good, like when you're in peak shape as you did at your prime? How old were you when you won your first pro, uh, tour, a competition?
2020, but I think I looked my best this, even I think 2023, this March was, I think I looked my best.
That's amazing.
Yeah. I think I was the fullest, like my muscles were bigger than in 2020. Yeah, even the uh the announcer, and I'm so bad with names. I mean, you could put a gun in my head and I still wouldn't be able to tell you his name. But
Right.
he's big at the NPC. He's like, I think Jen Pasky Jaquin looks her best this time.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was just this March.
Yeah, I just really wanted to have you on the show, have a quick talk with you, and if we could, motivate some people to get off the couch. That's all I'm trying to do here is just trying to provide people, and interview people that have done amazing things. Not just, everyone's so hung up on like pro athlete, like not, I know you're pro, but I'm talking like NFL,
Right.
Super Bowl winner, like multi-million dollar athletes. No, there's people that are just, that have overcome adversities. Like I had this one guy on, just before you. He's a boxer. He was just really overweight, and he did this video where he's boxing, and he just went viral, and then now he's motivated. He's going over his adversity. He's lost his dad, lost his mom recently, lost his brother. He's like the only one left, and he's overcoming that. Then he's got a weight issue going on, and he still has a boxing fight coming up, and he went viral just for hitting the bag, but he looked really good doing it. But he's like 400 plus pounds. So I'm just getting really unique people on that have overcame stuff. People like, that's what I love. I love, because I'm an underdog, right? I just like that a bit of an underdog story to it. So, it's just great that you're on, and and I love talking to you, and I want to keep in touch with you, and I have you back on after your next competition. I'm going to be watching to see you crush it again.
Yes, I'm actually just in, like, this was my first month of starting to wean off of like no processed sugars, no like pizza, like no like going out to eat. So it's been since September 29th that I haven't like it's all been all natural food now, and next
It's
a little bit harder.
It's hard. I did a weight cut for MMA, and we didn't have carbs moving up to that weight. I had to go from 190 to 170. I had like, just like, what was it? Like, cucumbers in the morning with eggs and like chicken breast. Like I was craving carbs so bad. I know how hard it is, right? Like,
It's hard.
especially, it's so hard because you're craving those carbs and the sugar, right? Like, oh,
Cucumbers are the best though, but that is in my diet. Cucumbers and egg. I have an egg omelet, egg white omelet every night with fat-free cheese and a slice of low sodium turkey on it.
yeah.
That's that's my like dinner.
Well, yeah, I mean, you've motivated everybody here. You've inspired me. That's why I had to have you on. I got to start working out harder to kind of get cut. Again, with me, like I've always have like that thickness. Cause again, I always tend to have chocolate after my meal. I'm trying to cut the chocolate, the sweet tooth after a meal all the time, trying to cut out the ginger ale and stuff like that. But yeah, watching people like you and hanging out with you and talking to people like yourself, it just makes me a better person, physically, mentally. It honestly does.
Well, if I can help anybody out, that makes me feel like a better person. So I do hope that people see this and know. I mean, I think some people do know who I am, so that is cool. And people do look at me as a role model, and that's one thing I wish or want to continue to do is have women and and men, but women mostly look at me and be like, she's freaking bad, and if she can do it, I can do it.
Okay, and how do they follow here? I'll leave your links here below. What's the best? Are you like on Instagram? You're everywhere, aren't you?
I am on Instagram, but right now all they'll see is my cat. I mean, I'm on, like all my fitness pictures are on there too, but I'm terrible at posting. But I'm Jen dot Pasky Pasky dot Jaquin, Jen Pasky Jaquin.
Yeah. So, yeah, I see that you've pinned a couple of your posts of your competitions and stuff like that. Have you done a lot of interviews like this so people can see more of your personality? That's another thing with some of these influencers. Like I had a guy that hangs off the side of buildings, and like the guy never talks to anybody. They just see him, but then when he comes on the show, they get to see his personality. So. Have you done a lot of interviews lately? Are people on your social media seeing your awesome personality like this?
So actually, I've done interviews. I was actually the interviewer at the 2023 Arnold for all the athletes. So I was the one that did all the interviews. So yeah, I mean my personality shined, but on the other side, I was the one asking the questions. And you can actually see all those on YouTube. They're all on the internet. But yeah, I've done a lot of interviews for whenever there's a show. I'm like Frank Seppa. I don't know if you know who he is, but
No.
like a lot of different people have interviewed me at the shows. But again, if anybody wants to YouTube me, I've interviewed a lot of people at the last Arnold, and this was during the Arnold, like when you're actually in the arena,
Mhm.
and there was hundreds of people walking around while we were doing it. So it was, and I wasn't nervous at all. I just did it. It was cool.
We can add this one to it for sure. So. Well, thank you, Jen. We appreciate you coming on, guys. Make sure you guys give her a follow. Thank you for everything, and we'll have you on again once this channel continues to grow and get bigger and bigger. We'll bring you on for more.
Yay! It was nice talking to you.
Thank you. Stay on for a second as we wrap this up. Thanks, guys. Make sure you guys subscribe. Drop any questions below. We appreciate you guys, and thanks, Jen, again.